Hey, we're here with the Addams family, John, Toby Poser and Lulu. You're back with Where the Devil Roams. I mean, you've just told me that you had a great screening. Tell me more about that.
Absolutely magic. We just had a magic moment. We walked down and we said that was the best screening we've ever had in our lives. And it's a fact. That audience was stunning. It looked stunning. And they laughed. And it was magic.
It's true. I feel like my heart is just like left my body and is flopping all over the floor. It was just absolutely wonderful.
You tell every film festival.
I don't.
We do, but this time we mean it.
No, so I'm glad it worked. I mean, because let's face it, it is a major step up for you. I mean, it's the biggest cast you've got. I mean, period, it looks great. I mean, you've really pulled all the stops out with this one.
Well, thanks, yeah. I mean, we tried hard, and what was nice was that it seemed like people came up to us and talked to us afterward. It felt like we were turning people on with something that turned us on.
Right.
There's something about FrightFest too. The cinephiles here are kind of like no other place. There's just the energy of this square, the energy of London, the energy of this fest and the films that you've programmed. It's just kind of inimitable. It's just wonderful.
Oh, good. You're saying all the right stuff. Now, I've got to ask you this, because I mean, obviously you work together all the time. You must have some fallings out, or is it really all, heartless and light and smooth sailing?
What do you mean?
What's the worst argument you've had?
Oh, I can't really think of any bad arguments. Like, none of us are screamers or anything. It's more like we kind of quickly figured out, I think, after kind of like, I want to go. Wait, you forgot my shot. And now we just take turns doing our shots, which we prefer. Okay, Toby first, then Zelda, then John, then Lulu. Just take turns, and then we just see it in the editing. We're kind of like, how did my shot look? Pretty good, right? It's the winner.
It's true. Arguing burns time, and we don't sit there and argue at this point. I think maybe in our first couple movies, there was some moments where we lost our shit, mostly because we just didn't know what we were doing. I think at this point we know what we're doing, and we know standing around arguing about things is not a great idea. And so we have the luxury of being able to shoot it many ways.
So you willed in friends and family for this, didn't you? I mean, there's like a lot of people involved in this one. I mean, easy to get. Were they happy to sort of go along with your ideas and your ethos? We
live in a tiny hamlet in upstate New York, which had less than 500 people, I think, and probably 1/6 of them are in our film. Between family and friends, people are always asking us, hey, I'd love to be killed in your film. So some of them we said, okay, now's your time, or will you just put on this hat, stand in front of the stage, and we'll have you move around a bit. And it's kind of wonderful. It's very much a community film.
Mm-hmm. Did you research? I mean, period films are expensive. I mean, did you find that, or was it easy enough to sort of like to make it authentic in the way that you wanted it to be?
I think what was fun about this was when we did our research, we looked at old photos of the carnies, especially like in New York or in Ohio, and they were dirty ass punk. Dirty things, and that's easier to build. We weren't trying to be fancy. It's not big theaters. It's nothing like that that's expensive. It's literally canvas and 2x4s and junky stages. And when you look at the old photographs of the carnies back in the 20s and 30s, that's what they looked like. They were cheap. Those guys had no money. We don't have money, and so it worked.
In a way, the carny, that whole sort of like circuit is where exploitation films began anyway, in a way. I mean, didn't they? I mean, that's where it all started. So you've actually captured that atmosphere, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I think it's also at that time, too, you were really transitioning from vaudeville and the stage of vaudeville and into the talkies. And we tried to emulate that in our films with the bleeding out of the color as they sort of become their own talkie. Which was romantic to us. I mean, I love German Expressionism, and we were watching films like Vampire. I love Murnau's Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. I mean, really influenced me with that sort of pastoral element. Obviously the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So it was fun to try to step into those black and white shoes.
No, I mean, I remember I watched an interview where you said that about Vampire and Nosferatu. You could easily see that. I mean, it's great that you add that cineast level to it, and I think that's really why people like what you do.
Well, that's what's great about the horror community, is you can make a black and white movie that's shaky and burnt around the edges because the horror community can dig it, because they do like Nosferatu and they do like vampire. They don't need shiny Hollywood things. Like, they're very open to lots of different kinds of art. You know, it's really cool. And I think in a sense that the horror crowd and the horror circuit is kind of like the modern carny. You look around, everyone's tattooed, everyone's rock and rollers. They're all these things are new acts, and we're all celebrating, and the press is, the press, and it's really cool. So it's nice to be able to reflect back to that time, and it's a mirror of this time now. It's neat.
Was Nightmare Alley ever a sort of? I mean, I sort of snuck that into the synopsis that I did, because I wondered if that was what you felt was part of the zeitgeist, and you wanted to do it because of that.
No, in fact, we had already
Almost
shot.
canceled it.
We were already thick into shooting when we'd heard about it, and then we watched it. And in the middle of it, John turns to me at one point, and he goes, "We're so fucked." And I was like, no, we're not, because we're just not.
Ours is going to be dirty and nasty.
We're the backstage carnival.
It's so well produced. The modern one.
It's beautiful.
That it was terrifying, because we were like, we should watch what Hollywood's doing just to see what we're up against. And in 10 minutes, I was scared shitless, because it was so shiny and so perfectly done.
Which is why I don't think it worked, but that's my
What was fun about making this movie is we did sit in the mud and the snow and the dirt and the rain. And if you look at the pictures of those old carnies, they're sitting in the manure and the rain and the dirt.
So what did you learn from this one? I'm assuming you're on an ever learning curve on these. I mean, what was the one major lesson you took away from this?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I'll tell you something that I loved. I know with this one, we really wanted to try to work some new muscles artistically. We wanted to be bolder with our vision, and we made the film we wanted to in that sense, and I like that. I mean, I like to make a film that that isn't necessarily easy, or I want to keep flexing new muscles, and so if anything, it taught me that you keep doing that, because that's how you'll grow and make something more interesting, and I want to keep doing that.
Also, this is like, today's where we learn. Talking to you, talking to the crowd, this is where we learn what we've done. We think we know what we've done, but we don't know what we've done until we've talked to the people that are watching it. And that's what's really fun, talking to the people that watch it and reading the reviews and seeing, like, what have we done? And then what can we do better? Because they're going to tell us.
So the feedback's really important.
Oh, yeah. Not necessarily on like sometimes people say, like, oh, you're not following the classic narrative style. You're not doing a Save the Cat. You're not doing the rules, right? We don't learn from that. But we do learn from what people like. And then when the honest people criticize us and it's thoughtful, that's really helpful. Yeah.
Okay. So you've done this Shudder movie. Hellhole, did you say it was called? What's the next one? What are you doing after this?
Fairy. Yeah, we just finished kind of filming most of it in the span of like 2 weeks, upstate, right behind our house, right in that area.
And so the title is Fairy, that's what you call it?
Yes.
And it is about that?
It's about a fairy.
But
what kind of fairy? What comes to mind? That's for you.
So let's just let that rattle around.
Yes, so there must be an evil, obvious side to this. So, I mean, what's going on? I mean, you're not going to do Tooth Fairy anytime soon, are you? So.
This one might take some teeth, but it's not. It ain't going to be nice. It took some of mine already.
It might be an anti-fairy. Yeah.
So you literally just going to go on as this family unit is just going to keep continuing, right?
Yeah.
You don't see any stopping.
Yeah.
We were lucky to have Lulu and Zelda for the first 2 weeks of August, so we got the SAG interim agreement, and we just went for it. And it's a very much has the DNA of an Addams Family film, and now we're going to make a cool soundtrack. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, and it has some of our closest friends from a long time in it.
Yeah.
It was really nice to be like a small, intimate group of like very close people.
Super intimate.
Well, more power to you. I mean, we love what you do. Everyone loves it here. And, continue as long as you can, because we will always show your movies. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Alan.
much for having us.
Yes.
This was a great time.